Congestive heart failure, which simply means the body's inability to pump blood well enough to meet the body's needs.
And she came in with a chief complaints of easy fatigability, breathlessness, and lower limb edema with cough.
Dr. Beckerman, a cardiovascular specialist, will in consultation with local doctors give his diagnosis and the best way to manage the patient.
Absolutely. I think that you need to treat all of the symptoms.
Telemedicine technology program at Longisa Referral Hospital, one of its kind in the region, is an initiative being implemented in collaboration with the World Telehealth Initiative and Bomet County.
We now have exposure to almost all specialties around the world, the ones which are applicable in our setting. And we also have this engagement continuing between the various departments in our hospital, whereby we have actually scheduled. We have a schedule running through every month where we know pediatric will be seen on this day. We have a session of question Q&A, and we're able to improve our services in that department. The next department, surgery, we have another, internal medicine.
Kiru is saying since it was launched a year ago, they have been able to successfully cater to 154 patients.
The working of this technology is that it's just like a specialist on site. It's just that they are not able to touch the patient, but they can instruct you, this is what I want to see. If it is deep inside the ear, if it is listening to the chest, we actually have stethoscopes which we connect to the machine, and they are able to hear what we can also hear on this side. And we are able to manage together the patient and have that access to that shared resource of specialists.
The success of the program has seen the county purchase 2 more robots that will be placed at Ndanai Sub-County Hospital and Kaplang Mission Hospital.
The reason to that is that so that you can have a wider coverage of doctors or medics patient engagement, and number 2 is so that we can also continue to make sure that this Teledoc initiative is getting rooted in Bomet County government. You know, the reason we are saying this is because county government don't have all the consultants, and even if they have all the consultants, they can be in all the facilities at the same time.
This technology not only cuts costs in card and time used moving from one facility to another, but also ensures that it makes maximum use of specialists available, albeit virtually.
Do it on the top of it. Right here.
The collaboration with World Telehealth Initiative has seen doctors at Longisa Hospital also benefit from continuous medical education sessions.
And it can be difficult to differentiate odor from tissue necrosis versus odor from...
Helps us to update our knowledge, the current guidelines on management of the patient, the WHO current guidelines, and what are other people doing out there, the latest technology, what is being done.
These sessions help guide supplies and equipment they procure from Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. What is the cost of such treatment, one would wonder?
For patients to be seen by this specialist, all it costs is a very stable internet connection in our facility, which we are meeting that cost as a facility, and also with the help of the Ministry of ICT that provides us with the internet infrastructure.
The shortage of health workers and especially specialists is a reality in Kenya, with the cost of accessing their services out of reach for most Kenyans. Telemedicine, however, offers an opportunity for collaboration in the health sector that can help reach out to more patients and guarantee better patient outcomes. Caroline Kamau for Sunday Express.
That report by Caroline Kamau sets the conversation tonight. We're looking at how we are ensuring that those who really require medical services get it. And to take us through this conversation is none other than Dr. David Wangoi Njoroge, who is an ENT surgeon. Karibu sana. We've seen that the people or the county of Bomet there has adopted telemedicine. And now you're doing something different. We're talking about medical camps that are solely focused on creating awareness on ENT. bring us up to speed in as far as ENT, ears, nose, and throat infections are concerned in the country. What's the status report?
I would say that, as you know, that the ENT is the entry of the body. That is from the nose and the mouth and the ears. And therefore, because we also use the nose to breathe, we breathe the air from outside. And therefore, we can inhale the pathogens or the bacteria into our system of the ENT. And therefore, it is the first area where the bacteria and the viruses will land. And therefore, the incidence is very high. And that's why you find that now, when you have any infection, it starts with the ENT, sore throat, running nose, blockage of the nose, and now before it goes to even coughing. And therefore, the incidence of upper respiratory tract infection, and now mostly the ENT, it is quite high.
On a high level.
Yes.
Now, let's look at COVID-19, because COVID-19 hit us hard, and as you've said, ears, nose, and throat.
Yes.
Now, post-pandemic, looking at ENT infections and such, are we seeing remnants of, if those people, especially who contracted COVID, being susceptible to recurrent ENT infections?
Yes, especially that time when it was happening. Then, every time when you get infection, the immunity goes down. And because of that, it exposes the infection more and more. During the COVID, remember that most of the symptoms were actually from the ENT and also now coming to the lungs, to the chest. And therefore, the effect of the COVID is quite, it was quite high. Though now we know that people have developed the immunity.
Herd immunity.
Herd immunity. Some people got infected and they didn't know that they had the infection. And with that, they developed the immunity. You can see like the last wave, which was of COVID, many people didn't get sick as much because of the immunity. But the effect is still there. And even, for example, I see so many patients who come to me, they tell me they got COVID. They lost their sense of smell, or they lost their sense of taste. So that effect is still there. And the virus is still with us. It's still. It's only that now we have more immunity. And the other thing which also, it also did a very good work to prevent infections of the same disease. Yes.
Good to know. There was a general feel that it's good that you have put that into perspective, that we are still what we have achieved, what we term as herd immunity. Now, we have seen a series of medical camps done by various private sector and even government itself. This service is down to the people who need it. But the question is, after consultation, I told you have an eye problem. What next if I need special of the matter?
Okay. Yes, I've done so many medical camps. And in general. For example, I would say on 28th of this year, February this year, I did a camp in a place called Camp. The following day, I did another one called Kanyoni in Nanyuki, in Laikipia County. And these medical camps, what they do, if they are well planned, with identify the patient and the problem of the patient, you should not just give and leave it there. If it is the diseases that you can treat there and there, you treat them there and there. If it is a disease that needs follow-up, a good medical camp, you should organize how you are going to refer these patients. So we normally talk, give this patient, we talk with we request mostly the government institutions that we can refer this patient to them, such that they can go and get treated there. I would give a very good example as an ENT surgeon. After we did the camps, we got patients who had even cancers. And this patient and other people who had ear problems. And this patient we followed up to the head. The patient and what comes, what we normally do is that we identify and we have the telephone number of that patient, so that we can be able to follow up to where this patient is going, such that we can be able to treat these patients. The only challenge which I would say there is that this most of the patients we capture in the medical camps, many of them, they are people who don't have money. So we have to look even way, how are they going to see the doctor, and yet they are financially down.
Now that brings a question now of NHIF. You know, it has been created as a fund to consolidate funds to help the underserved, the majority of them.
Yes.
From where you sit, given that the statistics that you've shared, is it delivering on its mandate?
Let me say clearly, and I would request Kenyans who don't have NHIF to go ahead and register with the NHIF. For example, all those patients who identify in these medical camps, those ones who have NHIF, it was very easy to treat them. Because you take them to either government, the money in the NHIF will take care of them from there. For those one who want to go, you cannot force a patient where to go. The patient to be treated where feels comfortable. And that is the right of the patient to choose the hospital. So we were able to use the NHIF and to follow up this patient up to the head. And that is what is happening. If you look like a country like Israel, they have 3 insurances. And these 3 insurances, like now we have NHIF, for them they have 3 insurances. These insurances, what they do is that they manage the hospitals. And each for example, if you talk like Nairobi, every insurance has a hospital in Nairobi. And they try to make sure they give the better services so that they can get more clients. Number 2, the government, there is some money which it gives to those insurances. And therefore, the service becomes very good. Kenya, if we go in that direction, we are going to lessen the burden of our people, of medical treatment. And that is where I would say, let us go to that side of insurance. Right now we have one, but let us utilize it to the maximum.
Now, the issue of self-medication, especially when it comes to treatment of ear, nose and throat. Parents like myself, as we run to the pharmacy and give me Benylin, give me such. How do we address the issue of self-medication, especially in ENT?
Let me tell you, that is a common practice which is there. And I would actually want Kenyans, when you do like that, you go and you self-medicate.
Yes.
And when you do like that, you give yourself the wrong drugs. And therefore your disease will not cure there and there. Number 2, you don't know the disease that you have. The only person who can tell you this is exactly the disease you have is a doctor. So you go and take the wrong drugs. Some of them will have effect on you, and then you don't cure. By the time you go to see the doctor, your disease is worse. You end up maybe even being admitted or using even more money than the one you would have used if you saw the doctor from the word go. But we know why these people go to do that. It is because of one. They don't have money to go to the hospital, so they look for the easiest way of getting
Talk about
drugs.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Yes, the convenience.
And number 2, that is what I was coming to. The convenience. When you go to the government, you find that maybe there is a very big queue. And still, there is some hospitals, like when you go to level 4 and above, there are some charges. This person doesn't have. Then there is the long queue, which is there. And they find, no, why should I go and waste my time there? And still I'm using it. Let me use this money and I go directly to the chemist. And then they go buy the drug, which is a very long practice.
Now, Dr. we would also want to hear tips, because as parents especially, when children are reporting to school, a myriad of calls, headaches, coughs and such, first, second week of school. As if you were to advise parents who are watching this program right now, how do they show up immunity for their children when it comes to matters of ENT?
Yeah, let me put it like this. It is true. When they go to school, one child, only one child, will have the infection. And then you children, they have to play, they have to mix, they have to do everything. So you cannot tell them, no, you don't, you cannot do that. And therefore, they come and they get those kind of infections. Let me quote clearly here. The best way one can be able to do to give good immunity to children is actually just a balanced diet, a good diet. That's the only what the parent can be able to do. Number two, there are those immunizations which have been set there, and the government have put policies. We follow those immunization policies, and we go for those immunization, and this one will let it go down. But you will find that in some areas, you find that the children are not even well immunized. And therefore, when they get into that, they get very sick. Yeah.
Very well said. Tonight, we've been addressing the issue of ear, nose, throat infections there, and our guest has been none other than ENT specialist and surgeon, that is Dr. David Wangui Njoroge. And some take home, especially for those with young ones at home, is that 1, 2, 3 things is that fasting, balanced diet, Kyria. Karibu. Balanced diet. And on top of having a balanced diet, we have to follow the immunization policies so that we can show up our immunity. And take home too is that COVID never left. It's
Absolutely.
Still here.
And I think at this particular time, when the cold had badly hit people, around 3-4 weeks,
Yes.
for some 3-4 weeks, ENT issues really were on the high.
Yes.
And I think, Daktari, we've taken your advice, so you know what to do moving forward. Thank you very much. Yeah. Absolutely. Time for us now to put an end to Sunday Express. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is John Jacob Curie.
And I am Regina Manyara. Have a pleasant viewing ahead.
Absolutely.